Hello, y'all. Welcome to That's What He Said. I'm your host, Natalie, and this is a podcast about dating. I interview men and I ask them the questions that women want or need to know the answers to. Today's episode is very near and dear to my heart. It is with Reid and Gina McMillian. So every once in a while, I do interview a married couple together. That way, us single people out here are not flying blind. We can have some leadership, some mentorship, some guidance from married couples who have done it and been successful at it. So they've been married for over 30 years. I know them personally. They are one of my oldest best friends' parents. So they're like my second family. I'm there on Christmas. I'm there on Thanksgiving. They are country folk. They live out on a ranch where they have a deer lease. Shout out to Oak Creek Ranch in Columbus, Texas. Because I know them personally, I know they've had some very low lows and some very high highs throughout their marriage. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear from them. Gina is absolutely hilarious. You never know what's going to come out of her mouth. She has no filter whatsoever. She's honest. She's unapologetically herself. And it's just, she's amazing. We love her. And then Reid, he's just the happiest, most joyful, peaceful, chill soul. He is an amazing dad. He's a godly man. He has been a totally stand-up, honest, loyal husband to Gina all of these years. So he is absolutely someone for men to look up to and someone for women to admire when searching for a future husband. Please, right now, so you don't forget, hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. If you are on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. Leave a comment at any point throughout the episode. I want to hear what you have to say. Ask questions. Give me your feedback. And then, of course, if you're on Apple or Spotify, please leave a rating and or review if you haven't already. It is greatly appreciated. So let's find out what he said.
Bobby Shine.
Oh, I didn't
Bobby Shine, come on.
No, I do have one terrible story.
Have
It wasn't funny, it was terrible.
Have
Okay.
I not ever heard about it?
I don't know.
Is it going to hurt my feelings if I hadn't heard
It
about
shouldn't.
it? Okay. You know,
I don't think it would, but
I mean, even though, we're married for this long, intimate stories, they can still hurt.
No, I can't
Even
tell
though it's
that
been-
story.
Even though it's been ever, they do.
Yeah. Reid and Gina McMillian, welcome to That's What He Said.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you guys, my adopted parents, everyone.
Glad to be here.
Yes, I'll introduce you. So these are my longest, oldest best friends' parents who have taken me in every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every sleepover since we were kids. And we're here at your ranch, the Oak Creek Ranch. Reid, tell us a little about your ranch and what happens here other than the chaos.
Well, we have a game ranch, a high-fence ranch. We have about 90 exotics, and we have white-tailed deer we raise in the pen. And we sell deer hunts. Mm-hmm. And it's really busy time of year when hunting season and it's off. There's always something to do. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we have a large clientele now out of Houston.
Yeah.
In Louisiana. They come to us and a lot of return business, and everybody seems to enjoy it. They return a lot.
Do y'all have a website?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to link the website too for anyone who's into deer hunting and stuff like that, or just want to come hang out for a weekend or whatever. And then Gina.
I have my share of animals.
Yes.
Yes, I have my horses, pigs, ducks, chickens, donkeys, and dogs.
Yes.
So
dogs.
I'm an animal freak.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
She is everybody's favorite mom. She's hilarious. You never know what you're gonna get with her. Loves animals and best Christmas trees ever.
I love doing Christmas trees.
So y'all have been married for how long?
August will be 34 years.
34 years.
Yes, that's crazy to me. That's longer than I've been alive.
I know.
Seems
Yeah.
like 5 years,
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Really?
Whatever.
doesn't it? I mean, it goes by fast. It really does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a long time. When I sit and think about it, I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Flew by.
Well, it just doesn't seem like 34 years. That's a long ass time.
Yeah. I want to interview you guys today just about marriage. So, the podcast is mainly about dating, geared towards single people trying to navigate what is a very hard time for single people, just where our world is, our culture is. We're very lost in the sauce out there. Yeah. So occasionally I'll interview married couples that I know are a good example or can kind of be mentorship in some way. Y'all are definitely the longest married that I've talked to so far. But I want to start with some funny stories.
I did today remember one funny story, and we weren't married yet.
Okay.
And I had foot surgery. I had 2 bunionectomies, so both feet. So I couldn't walk. I either had to go on my knees or get carried.
Okay.
And so I don't know why I was staying over there. I don't even remember why, but so I needed, I guess, to go to the bathroom, and so again, we were just dating. We were dating.
You were sleeping in a recliner.
Well, anyway, but you picked me. He picked
I
me
saw
up.
Heard you laughing in the hallway.
No, that was a different one. But no, he picked me up to take me, and I farted. And I was so embarrassed because we were just dating, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did
What
that.
did he say?
He laughed. I don't know. Little did he know that would just be a
first
common
of many.
theme from me.
It was the first time he saw the real you.
Yeah.
Reid, what about you? Any funny stories?
Well, she brought this story up earlier that we both haven't, whenever we think of this is the first thing that comes to mind, but I was really, at the first part of dating her, and I was just totally enamored with her. And I would want to make a great impression with her, so I was just like, plan the date out for the night and everything. So I decided I said, well, let's go to Nino's. That's a place.
Italian. No, it's not Italian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great Italian restaurant. And that I would really want to impress her. So we went there, and I took her there. They said, okay. We went to the maitre d', and they said, well, it's going to be 10, 20 minutes for your table. And so y'all, do you want to sit in the bar? So I said, sure. So we sat in the bar, we're talking, and I just like nervous being with her and all. And we ordered a drink, and I ordered something that had a straw in it. So I'm talking to her, and I reached to get my drink, and I didn't think about the straw, and I was going to drink it, and the straw went up my nose.
And I started laughing. I was like, oh my gosh.
It kind of broke the ice, but I was like, gosh, she thinks I'm a nerd, We're not going to get far with this.
That was your first date?
No.
It could have been
close.
like second or third.
It was close.
How did y'all meet?
At the gym.
At the gym.
Really?
I was a stalker.
You were a stalker.
He was.
Well, we had a Ford dealership at the time. My father ran a Ford dealership, and anyway, I saw her there, but I was too scared to talk to her at the gym, and I'd see her all the time, and I saw her drive up in a car, a 300ZX.
With a broken mirror.
I didn't know about the broken mirror. So anyway, I wrote down her license plate, 392 SBY. I still remember to this day. And so I called my dad's secretary. I said, hey, track this license plate number down. Tell me who this is. And so she called me back, gave her name and where she lived and everything. And so I kind of,
I know.
And, but I would never, I'd never do anything like that, but I had to know her.
Yeah.
So turns out a friend I worked out with, he was able to go up and talk to her for a while, and then that's how I kind of eased in there.
You had a wingman.
Yep. He's did well.
That is, nowadays, that would be very stalkerish.
Well,
Yeah. But I didn't know he was doing it. And he would drive by. I lived in an apartment, and he would drive by the apartment.
Oh, don't give it all out. Anyway.
But back then, you didn't. That's like now, guys will stalk you like on your social media. That's like
see, we didn't
same
have
thing
any
back
of that.
then. Yeah,
we didn't have that.
They just want to see what you're doing and look at you.
Yeah.
So finally, I got the nerve up to ask her out at the gym, and and I said, "Do you want to go out sometime?" She goes, "Well, I have a boyfriend." And so I said, "Well, I kind of thought so." She goes, "Well, do you want to go to lunch sometime? I said, no, that wouldn't be right. You have a boyfriend. So I just told her no.
And then what
And
happened?
I thought, well, when she would get maybe done with him, then maybe I could sneak in there.
So I broke up with this guy, and then I knew, I don't know how, but I knew he had a restaurant, and so I was able to call him at the restaurant and invited him to a crawfish boil party. And he said, okay.
Talk about the happy dance. Yes. So it was like,
So
great,
then
but
from then on,
it was great, but it was scary.
Yeah.
I was so,
Nervous.
I felt like I was out of my element, I think.
Y'all are cute.
Yeah, right.
So wait, did you break up with your boyfriend for Reid, or you just for other reasons and
Both.
then thought about Reid?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the guy that I was dating, but at the time, probably because he would always tell me, nobody else is going to want you, because I had a kid. I had Miranda. And, so he would tell me that. No one else is going to want you.
Because you're a mom.
Because I'm a mom with a kid
Yeah.
and a divorcee.
Yeah. Well, he was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that going in.
So how long did y'all date before you got engaged?
Year and a half.
Yeah, so she was on it. I was like, I wanted to just date because I knew she was the one. I wasn't in any hurry. And I mean, it was just going to happen.
Yeah.
So, but I think she was pretty persistent to get this on the road.
I was not. We never even talked about marriage. Never, not one time did we ever talk about marriage.
Okay. All right.
That's not super quick. A year and a half is a good amount of time, I feel.
Yeah.
So how did y'all know that you wanted to marry each other?
I had no doubt. I was totally enthralled with him.
Oh.
Like, that's all I thought about. And I remember telling either my sister or my mom, like, if he breaks up with me, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I remember I'd be laying out in the yard getting some sun, and when I would have my phone there. We didn't have cell phones, and I would just sit there, wait for him to call me to ask me out.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So I was just as weird as he was.
I just talk to my friends all the time about it. They go, shut up. We've heard about her enough, And I just like, what else do I talk about?
Okay, so Gina, what was it about Reid that had you enthralled? What was it, a quality or?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, he was just nice. And, well, probably the very first thing was back then, he was like a humongous bodybuilder person. He had like huge muscles. And I was very attracted to that. Oh, and then we were somewhere in a car, and all of a sudden he was talking to a person, and he was talking to him in Spanish. I'm like, oh, yes.
Reid?
Yeah.
Talking in Spanish?
Well, because he's fluent Spanish, and I didn't know it. And so I was like, oh, yes. So I don't know, just things like that.
Wow. What a catch. What a catch. What made you decide as a man that this was the woman you wanted to spend the rest of your life with? And that you were ready to settle down?
Well, we'll do the second question. I was 31 or 33 at the time. I was a little older, and I was kind of felt like, my friends were all, getting married and moving on, and I was like, I need to start thinking about finding a wife. And I don't know, it was it just naturally happened. It wasn't even a second thought. That we just met her, and I just felt like this is the one. This is the one for me. And then that's when I was saying I wasn't concerned about going fast, because I just felt like she's going to be for me. And I wanted to go experience things with her, go on trips, and just do things with her. I just, marriage was going to happen, but it was going to happen at its own time.
But we just started going out, but he was also going out with somebody else.
What?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Because he took another girl to the ranch, to the Richmond Ranch.
It's just somebody that looked like me. It wasn't really me.
So,
Well, who cares? You won.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Was there any specific promises or special conversations that you had before you got engaged? I mean, you said y'all didn't talk about marriage before.
We didn't talk about marriage.
So, was there any sort of like sit down conversation you had before you got married? Or is it just not until your vows?
Well, I know we wanted kids. I wanted some kids.
But we didn't talk about it.
But we didn't talk really about it. But I just knew that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, I would make sure that, Christ was in our lives more so, which he was, but he was working through our lives, unbeknownst to us, but that we would raise our kids in a Christian household.
Mm-hmm.
And we did. But I mean, we didn't say this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It just kind of was like it was going to happen without us discussing it.
Yeah. A lot of people get divorced now. I mean, I think more than half of marriages end in divorce. So I just think about, are there like things that young people should do in preparation for marriage? Maybe you have advice on that. If you could go back, things you would do or talk about, or like, some people do premarital counseling or, talking about, are we open to divorce? Is it off the table? What would you say if you could go back, or things that might help people nowadays stay married?
I mean, personally, the way I think now, I think for sure you would do some kind of premarital counseling and talk about money, talk about kids, talk about, just all your faith, talk about all the stuff that's important. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we didn't do that, but I think you should. You don't want to just like get married and then go, well, I didn't want kids. Well, I want kids,
Yeah,
Right.
That's paramount.
So all that stuff you need to like lay out on the table first.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, gosh, they passed away, but they were married for, 55, 60 years.
Yeah, something.
Long time. And it was a loving household. You could, I was raised with great parents, and they loved each other and were Christians. I followed my mom's footsteps, I think, because she was, she was involved and very close to the kids, and I followed her. She would greet everybody and talk and was friendly, and I think that she passed it on to me. So it was kind of, in growing up, you're just kind of inviting to people. And I was just kind of that way to everybody else. So I kind of felt, that way about her and who else was around us. So I think that helped in our marriage, just
Having a good example.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's what a lot of people lack now as well.
Right.
Not having an example for their marriage now. That's why we're lost in the sauce, a lot of us.
And it's
Yeah.
just connection with others.
Yeah. I think having support.
Right.
Yeah. My main question for you today, kind of overarching theme, is what is the secret to a long marriage? How would y'all answer that?
I mean, there's such a huge graph
Oh.
when we got married. It was just, we had a lot of lows, And I can honestly say that it was my baggage,
Yeah.
not his. And so, because I came in with a lot of baggage. And I've said this before in different settings, that I learned how to be the way I am now. I've learned it was from him, because he's always so level, always. I mean, I can tell people he's never yelled at me. He's never called me a name. He's never been disrespectful. Now in his head, probably yes, but outwardly, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, he never has. And then I hear other people how that goes down, and I'm like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so I learned from him.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I had so much going in, and so it was rocky for a while.
Yeah.
And
And he's just kind of steady Eddie.
Yeah, and he's steady Eddie, and how he stayed, I have no clue. Is a miracle. Because I mean, I really came in with some stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think I resonate with that a little bit, having the baggage.
yeah,
Reid?
Yeah, but on the other hand, what I was lacking, she had it. I lacked, and dealing with things. She was.
I mean,
She was so outspoken, and
Very.
I'm not, and I'm not. So she made me whole.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was a time in those first years that he thought about divorce.
Sure.
He did.
Well, there's struggles there.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was rocky. It was really, really rocky. And especially like now, the age that we are, and as long as we've been together, it's just, I mean, that's not even something that enters, I don't think, in either one of our heads.
Anymore.
Divorce, no.
No, really.
We're way far along in our marriage, and I speak for both of us. We'd be lost if we weren't together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you were in those low places, or if you ever had major disagreements, how did y'all approach it?
Sure.
Well, one time he didn't tell me. One time he just packed his bag and left and went to the Richmond Ranch
I'm not proud of that.
because he couldn't take me anymore. So he needed like a break.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to leave her. I did. I need a break.
Yeah. But that probably taught you something, or scared you maybe.
Yeah, it scared the hell out of me.
And how did y'all come back from that? What happened?
I think I don't remember, promised I would do better or something. But I think I remember telling Lake, tell Dad not to leave, tell Dad not to leave. And she was like, Dad, don't leave, don't leave.
Well, I think I like the honesty there, because a lot of people well, I'll speak for myself. If you don't witness marriage growing up, you see people who've been married for a long time, and you think it's perfect. Like, you don't think somebody would ever pack their bag, or, I mean, you grow up thinking like I thought married people didn't fight.
Oh, yeah.
I thought married people were like Cinderella and Prince Charming and rode off in, horse and carriage. You don't understand how it actually works in real life.
Yeah.
I think people get into trouble that way because a lot of people get married thinking, oh, this is a fairy tale. And then when you realize it's not, they just, they split
No,
up.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think people that have been married as long as us, and of course people have been married way longer, you can't tell me that they hadn't had problems.
Of course.
You're human, you have problems.
Yeah.
And we were just fortunate because we worked through them and didn't just give up, and and so we're still together.
Yeah.
And one thing I can say is neither one of us, we have never gone outside of our marriage, ever. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Never
Yeah.
even thought about it.
No.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I mean, that's not his personality, and it's not mine. We just never did that.
yeah.
But
And we've both had cancer together. We've
Yeah.
gone through, I had breast cancer, and then he had like 3 open heart surgeries and 2 cancers at the same time. And so, I mean, we've been through all that sickness kind of stuff.
Through sickness and health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got through that.
Yeah.
But as Christians, we grow in our struggles. I think God puts us there, on us. He doesn't want harm to go to us, on
Right.
us. But, with our struggles, we've gotten closer. Each one of them.
Yeah.
You know, with my struggles, my surgery, my health, you know, she waited on me hand and foot. And I think that's even
And
brought
I
us together.
am not a caretaker.
She's
Nah.
not.
So I was like, call my mom. I go, if he wants one more snack, I'm gonna
Yeah.
punch him in the throat.
You're not, but you are, because you'll do it with gritting teeth, but you're not gonna let someone go without a meal or uncared for. So you're soft on the inside.
But I'm gonna gripe about it.
Yes, gripe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you would never let even an animal go
Yeah.
untaken care of. Yeah. I want to go back to what you said, that you've never gone outside your marriage. That's also obviously a very common thing, unfortunately, that happens.
I know.
I had a guy on the show not too long ago who, his name's Rich Cooper. You can watch his episode at your own risk, but he says a lot of great things, and then there's a few things that are like, did you really just say that? And he has this take on long-term relationships, that if you're like a very desirable man, so you're someone that the world says is desirable, so you're of status, you're good looking, you're successful, women want you and men want to be you. That's how he describes it. That, you know, if you're in a long-term relationship, he says the woman just needs to accept that that type of man is gonna cheat and go outside the relationship, and that he basically stands on that men are wired that way for variety and to spread their seed. And so she just needs to accept that because he has options, he's going to exercise them. And he says the only men who don't agree with that or who don't cheat are men who don't have options. But any man who does have options, in his opinion, would either agree or they're lying. So it's a very bold stance. And I'm curious, Reid, how you would respond to that, or what you think about that.
I don't know. I think it's kind of when you made a commitment to somebody. I mean, you wouldn't, you know, you'd stay with that commitment. You wouldn't even go outside of marriage or anything. I've probably been tempted all these times, but well, I mean, tempted by somebody else coming on, like
Sure.
not that I've wanted to, you know,
Yeah.
pursue anybody, but
He says it's just exercise. If you're going out sleeping with somebody else, that as long as you come home to your wife and take care of her, then there's
but
nothing wrong with it.
how do you come home and look her in the face? I mean, how can you go ahead and continue your relationship with someone when you've gone outside the marriage? I mean, that's so black and white. I mean, I don't even know how somebody can do that. If you go outside your marriage, I would think, well, we need to get divorced.
Sure.
If you do that, I mean, that's the way I draw the line. It's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't even come to.
No, yeah, and I disagree with whoever that person is, because there are plenty of men in that situation that don't go outside of their marriage. I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody does that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I think. But I've been asking men, like any man who like is in that position, somebody like who's successful, and you know, I'm sure in his prime, women wanted Reid, but
Yeah.
you know, or now,
Yeah.
but obviously doesn't agree with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting.
Oh
take.
yeah, for sure. When we were dating, there were a ton of women that wanted him. I had to fight my way through it.
But you know, I think you are who you hang with. You know, if you want to be with those people that want to fool around, and
Right.
you can be with those people. But you know, I don't think they're going to get very far.
Yeah. It seems a very empty life.
Yeah, that's what I see it too.
Yeah, and I mean now I don't even think that doesn't even remotely.
Sound good.
No.
No.
As I say, if he passes, that's it.
Yeah.
I would never get remarried.
Really.
Nope.
How, so y'all have 3 kids. You had Miranda, and then Lake and Forrest, and some grandkids now.
Right.
Three grandkids?
Yeah.
So how over all these years did you balance just the chaos and the load of having kids while also keeping your marriage alive and healthy?
Because we had a nanny.
That helps.
That's a good question.
No, because I mean, at the time, for 18 years, I was a flight attendant, so I was gone. So we had to have a nanny.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Because I mean, I had all the kids while I was flying. We had trouble with my oldest, and then Lake she was good, pretty much. I mean, she did a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And then Forrest was a nightmare. But I don't know. So we got through it.
Yeah.
You just deal with it and go to the next step and hope that they come around. And thankfully, they all came around, and they take care of themselves. And so.
Well, we took our kids everywhere we went.
Yeah.
We did, we got them out, and we did all the stuff together all the time.
Yeah. But I mean, they all turned out really well.
I remember we decided we would go out and hit some nice restaurants before the kids came around. So I can remember it was either Lake or Forest. It must have been Lake.
Probably Lake.
And so we said, let's go out to our usual restaurant that we like so much. Yeah, let's go do that. So we went and sat down, and we got that little high chair for Lake, I guess, and then soon we went to start eating. The crying started.
She'd start crying and screaming,
crying. So we'd have to, one of us would get up and go outside and hold and rock them while the other one ate, and then we'd go inside and
switch.
It's your turn and switch. Said, well, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So then there came to Luby's. Luby's was our go-to. Luby's was our go-to.
Rolls and Jell-O.
And we went there. That was our night out, going to Luby's after that.
Yeah.
But,
how did y'all like prioritize things in your family? I think there might be some difference in opinion. Some people would say you prioritize yourself, then your kids and your wife, or your kids and your wife and yourself. How did you, maybe that's a good question for you, Reid, how did you prioritize things in your household?
Well, I'd say I put my family first over my job. I would just, my parents were a good reflection of that. They just took care of us all the time and kept us, in the loop and doing stuff with them. And Dad would go to work. Mom was a housewife. We had a nanny as well, so that was a great help too. But we'd have the nanny, and I would. The nanny would leave, and at night we would trade off each night which one would which bottle feed what kid. And
because I would be gone 3 days out of the week.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of a lot.
I know.
To leave him alone.
I know.
Yeah.
So it would be her night, like, I got to get sleep tonight, and the baby's crying like, hey, your turn, and she's like, your turn.
I am not a good baby person.
We did great. We did a good job.
Give them to me when they can, kind of do stuff.
Walk and stuff.
Walk and talk. And
so when you were a flight attendant, did you love working, or why did you keep working as a flight attendant even though you had small kids? And the reason I ask that is because it's so controversial, I feel like, now, because there's the feminist movement has come, and it's like at full fruition now. And so women are working, women are killing it, and they're kind of exceeding where men are success-wise right now. So it's hard because you have men who still want a traditional wife, which in their mind means you stay home, or you're, home raising the kids, which is great too. But some of us also want to work or have our own thing going on. So it's interesting that you did that back then.
Well, because I was doing it before I met him. I started flying when I was 21. That's just something that I did.
Yeah.
And towards the end, I remember saying, because he never would okay me to quit. I had to keep going.
Really?
Well,
and then finally one day he goes, okay. And I'm like, yes.
Well, she was making good money.
Yeah, I was making good money. All our family insurance was from Southwest, and I mean, so everything I had, 401k, it was literally free insurance, health insurance for the whole family.
Okay.
And then I made good money.
And
Yeah.
only 3 days a week.
Yeah. So
So
I
you
mean,
were
it was
really,
like
like,
an ideal job.
You were really like helping support the family too.
Yeah, it was an ideal job.
Okay. And Reid, you didn't have a problem with that. You didn't tell her like, well, when we get married, you have to quit your job,
No.
or
No.
okay.
I'd always worked. I just, I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, so this helped because we were enjoying the, good things of life. We lived in a nice house. It wasn't an upper echelon house, but we were doing okay
Yeah.
back then. But I mean, it could have gotten better. But anyway,
Money is a big topic of conversation among people dating, because this is my diagnosis of what's going on. Women have their own money, so people like me, I take care of myself. There's nobody giving me handouts. There's no man taking care of me. If I meet a guy, a lot of women would say, well, you have to be doing as much or more than me. Otherwise, what do I need you for?
yeah.
So you have a lot of women who think that, who want like really rich or successful men, or who are at least doing better than them. So then the men are left feeling like, well, they just want us for money, and then the men become jaded, and they're like, well, if you just want us for money, we just want you for sex. And so then people are just using each other for short term instead of thinking long term, because the women are jaded too. So, I've been hurt by a dozen guys. So if you can't at least buy me nice things and take me on trips, then, do I really want to risk it for the biscuit kind of thing? And in my opinion, I understand it. I've been through it. There's a lot of hurt and pain underneath all that, but it's hard. Like it's like a hole that we've dug that we can't climb out of. Because then it's also, if I meet a guy who's making less money than me, I want to be open to. I want to, be the support behind him to help him get to where he wants to be. But it's risky too, because that there's guys out there who just want to use you. And so you're like, are you pretending that you're going to do this, and become this great guy? Or are you really? So this is the big part of the dilemma, I think. And I think it comes down to culturally, our values have kind of been flipped on its head.
Yeah.
So can y'all speak to people like me, the young people? What do you think we need to fix about ourselves and our culture to get things back on track so that we can have long, healthy marriages like y'all?
And a man, maybe I'm old school, but a man, he brings home the money for the house. He takes care of the family.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never been without.
And,
right.
And I think if you take that away from him, it kind of hurts him in the long run. Because that's what he's meant to do, is take care of the family. And it boosts him up, that I'm able to do this, And I think that people nowadays don't look at that.
Yeah.
And now we look at it as far as finances. We look at it like, okay, well, this is for our kids. This is for our grandkids. We're fortunate where we can just pass it on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because you built something together.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so,
But again, I think it comes down to the family nucleus. Nowadays, there's single-parent households and all, and I don't think the families in our day and age, there wasn't much divorce at all.
well, my family was.
Well, there was, but not compared to nowadays. Nowadays,
I lived on the other side of the tracks.
Yeah.
He was over here and I was over here.
Well, but I think is that people have given up, when they go get married now, they go, this isn't working out, let me go off to somebody else.
Yeah, it's too easy. It's too easy to get divorced.
And again, I think that
Depends on your values and your morals.
Yeah, those and the struggles make you grow. I mean, you grow more during those hard times, and people like, well, this is too hard, I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
And then what do you have in your wake? Kids, and where they don't have a mom and dad, you know, to show them how the men show the kids how to go work with their hands, how to go hunting, go fishing, and the girl's just the same. You know, like she's sitting over there. How many deer have you shot? So I'll take her hunting.
We were joking last night that she likes to torture him and shoot the leg off and the jaw off because she didn't hit it right.
Ew.
But you know, we've been hands-on a lot with our kids. You know.
Yeah.
And they've seen, you know, our struggles, but we don't go. We go behind closed doors if we ever, you know, have a disagreement or anything. We don't really, you know, we never really let them be in the room when we.
And nowadays we don't even have.
Well, back then
disagreements.
we just went somewhere else and we just discussed it and talked it out. You know, and didn't.
Because you would make me, because I'd be going, ah!
Yeah, she would. I'd say, come here, let's go right here. And I'd take her in the back room. Because I never saw my parents get in an argument or anything.
Steady Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steady Eddie. His friends call him, what's the cartoon character? Dudley Do-Right.
I don't even know who that is.
I know, it's before your time. Look it up.
I'll look it up. Okay.
You do right. Or Jerry Cooper.
I don't know. who
What
that
Or
is.
Gary Cooper.
What has been the best part of your lives together?
Right now.
Gosh.
Right now.
Why do you think?
I mean, we're living the dream.
yeah.
Yeah, we are.
You know, our kids are grown, they're on their own, get to experience all the nature that we have out here, go on trips with our kids and
Grandkids.
grandkids. I mean, I literally have nothing that I would change or complain about.
You know, our health has changed over the years. I'll speak for myself over the years, but it's amazing how you can adapt to whatever shortcomings you come across. You know, like your health, whatever, how God, you know, has made you grow from those. You know, I'm not as strong as I used to be, but I'm smarter, and He's shown me how to do things different ways and all, and I'm just as capable right now that I am 20 years ago.
Yeah. And y'all are in your 60s?
Yep.
65.
68.
Yeah. I think the fact that you said right now you're living the dream, because, you know, we live in a world that's everything's short-term gratification.
Yeah.
So and I think I'm guilty of it too. When you're thinking about like, who do I want to be with? Who do I want to marry? You think about like right now, who's going to make me feel good? Who can I go on vacations with? You know, yeah, who's going to take care of me? But you don't think about who can I build something with so that in my 60s I can live the dream.
Yeah.
People don't think that way. They want to live the dream right now. Who's going to give me the best, you know, of everything right now today? But it doesn't work like that.
No, I mean, it's just something you have to work towards, work on. It's a process,
Yeah.
But then, you
a
know,
long process.
you know, and I think we all inevitably want to take care of somebody, and I want to take care of her.
And she wants to take care of you.
I mean, I think we all do. It's our,
Yeah.
you know, it's our nature.
Yeah.
And we're also blessed that we're close with our kids.
Yeah.
A little too close.
You know, that they still want to come over.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah, constantly.
Even when you don't want them here.
They still
Yeah.
have all their clothes in the closets and stuff in the attic. And,
Yeah.
But, you know, at least.
And the kids who are not your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, that's a blessing.
It is.
Yesterday, Reid, you mentioned something about forgiveness. That's kind of the secret to surviving, or that was a critical part. Can you speak on that?
Wow. Gosh. I mean, inside and outside our marriage. Sure. I mean,
I think he's forgiven me a lot.
well, I know I didn't want to point that finger. Point that finger.
Like a whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
You know, we're all have lived to forgive each one another. If we're walking with Christ, and that's what He wants us to do. And I mean, if you hold things and keep them inside, I mean, you won't get very far in life. I mean, there's many things that I've gone through, and I think, oh, that person is the scum of the earth, and I'll never talk to them again because he did this or that. But if we're grateful for what we have and thankful, if we go to somebody and be the bigger person and say, hey, you did this to me, and I would want to let you know that this hurt my feelings or did whatever to me, and I want to forgive you for that. It brings to light that person may not know that he's harmed you or whatever, and I think you'll be closer because of it.
Yeah. Gives an opportunity for growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. It's all about growth. I mean, even to this day, we're in our 60s. Everything's new. I mean, we're still growing.
Yeah. And that is a good, perfect picture, actually, of what the Bible says, that a man should love his wife the way Christ loves the church.
Amen.
There's no shortage of forgiveness from God, or we'd all be rotting in hell,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to forgive your wife over and over again, and I'm sure he's done things once or twice for you to forgive too.
Yeah.
At least a couple times.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. My last question for you is, what piece of marriage advice would you give to your kids to keep with them forever?
Choose your spouse wisely. Go through all the important things that in a marriage, go through all those beforehand. Date each other for a while. Don't just, 6 months down the road go, oh, okay, let's get married. No. Be with each other for a while. And so you know, like, what you're getting into, and hopefully you go into it with a forever commitment. Which I know that, when you're young and to say that, you're just like, oh my gosh, forever. But, it happens. We did it.
Yeah. Still doing it.
We still like each other. We still hang out with each other.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it can be done, but just do your homework. Do your
Right.
homework before you just jump into a marriage.
Reid?
Well, there's a lot of things that we didn't talk about that now comes to light, that we should have talked about, and we worked through it. But I think, our kids need to bring around whoever that future husband or wife's going to be, and just kind of live it with us, and us to kind of get a feedback from them how they're doing in their relationship, and just talk to us, which they always do. They come to us and talk to us and share what's going on in their lives. And I think just to have them ask for our advice, and if they need any input. What do you think about Betty or Susie or whatever?
And I just gave my advice without being asked.
Right.
yesterday to my son. I'm like, I don't know. I don't think so. But
Yeah. Well, that's a.
But I
moms
just said,
are supposed to
I'm
do
going to
that.
say this one thing and I won't say anything else. And so I said I said two things, and then I didn't say anything else. So
Yeah.
he knows where I stand
Yeah.
in reference to his girlfriend.
I have learned as I have gotten older, your mom really always knows the best. She really does. Even though, even if, like myself, have had a strained relationship with your parents at certain points or in the past, or even disagreeing with certain things that your parents do or certain ways that they live, they made you. They gave you life. And, your parents, regardless, I think for most most people, I know there's some really tough circumstances. Sometimes we as young people who think we know everything have to kind of humble ourselves and go to mom and dad and ask, or, think about, can I bring this person around my grandfather? Are they going to embarrass me, or around my dad? Or it's really important. But again, people think short term, who's going to look good on social media standing next to me?
Yeah. And I think Lake married another Reid.
Aw.
I do.
Yeah, I see it. For
Yeah.
sure.
I mean, yeah.
You want to set a good precedence for our family. And so I think the kids would look up to us and say, I would like to have a relationship like mom and dad. So I think they're looking for the same thing,
Right.
who they're looking for.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they bring that person around mom and dad board and then ask, hey, what do you think? I'm thinking about going a little further to this relationship. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a close relationship with the family.
Yeah. The nuclear family, like you said
yes.
earlier.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll leave it on that. But for those of us like myself who want to, break generational curses, generational bondage, and create, start new, making our own families, I want to be able to say that one day, that I have kids that can look up to my marriage, that I can tell them I went to hell and back, but, built this so that you can have something to look up to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it takes a lot of work, as y'all have told us.
A lot.
It's always been 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you would like to say or leave us with?
Thank you for asking these questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank
A couple
you.
things came to light, and it just makes you cherish this relationship even more.
Yes, thank you so much.
I'll leave you with a kiss.
Oh, yay.
Love you.
True love.
Yeah.
True. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of That's What He Said. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you're taking away something valuable that will benefit your dating life. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give this show a follow, rate, and review. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, comment below because I want to hear what you said. See you next time.